All right, welcome back to Two Guys in the Outdoors, and I'm going to be in this one. So Jason, what are we talking about today?
I think we're going to talk about some Spring Gobbler scenarios. So,
For those of you that like it when we're out in the woods looking at things, we got 50-mile-an-hour winds today. We decided to keep it indoors.
yeah, apparently there's a bunch of brush fires and all kinds of stuff going on today.
Yeah.
So, hopefully everybody's going to be okay today. So.
Yep, but we'll get out there sometime and maybe show you what it looks like. If you go back to the show we did about scouting for turkeys, Jason did do a good job of setting up a couple scenarios with the two we were in a valley, and you set
in a hollow there.
in a hollow. Yeah, and you set up a couple of scenarios in that one too. So just think about that stuff. Think about where you're hunting and see if it applies what we say today.
Well, and what we're going to be talking about today is we hear turkeys. We know they're there. What calls do we make? Where do we move to? Kind of what are you going to do when you hear that turkey gobbling in your area? So that's what we're going to kind of talk about today is some of those different scenarios.
And you've seen the progression that we did. What a turkey sounds like, how to make the calls on a friction call, and here shortly you'll find out more about the mouth call. But this is just the next step. Okay, now that you know you got the tools to do it, when do we do it?
That's right.
Right. What
do we do? How do we do it? When to call, when not to call, some of those things. So,
okay.
So let's get started. All right. So let's talk about the classic. So let's back up just a second. So when I go out turkey hunting, I want to get as high as I can, elevation wise. And the reason I do that is so I can hear, I might be able to hear a turkey 2 ridges over or across the pasture field on into a wooded lot, whatever the scenario, wherever you're hunting at. I hunt mainly mountainous areas in hilly terrain. I don't hunt much flat ground. So I try to get elevation wise as high as I can because I can hear better. And I'm getting out there, typically I get out there an hour before sunrise. Legal shooting light is 1/2 hour before sunrise. I want to get out there. It's dark. I want to get to that high point, that high peak, and I just listen. A lot of people use owl hooters to locate turkeys, and they're trying to get that turkey to gobble, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I let nature do its thing. I get there an hour early and I just sit and listen. I call it listening to the world wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna hear all kinds of things. You might hear a cow moo off in the distance. You might hear somebody's chickens off in the distance crowing. But I'm listening for that turkey to gobble. All right. A lot of times turkeys will start to gobble right when it starts to break daylight. And what's happening is the gobblers will start to gobble. They're still on roost. They're still up in a tree. They're just waking up and they'll start gobbling. And what that is to tell the hens that has roosted nearby, hey, here I am. And so they're starting that courtship already. So that turkey gobbles. I want to try to move as close to that turkey as I can in that low light.
That was my next question.
Yeah. So I want to move as close to that turkey as I possibly can, and without getting too close. I want to try to stay above that turkey. So if he's roosted down off the end of that ridge, or maybe he's on the next ridge over, I want to get off of the ridge that I'm on. I want to get up onto that ridge where that turkey is roosted and gobbling. I want to get to at least the same plane that he's on or above him. Typically, you can get a turkey to come uphill much easier than downhill. All right. So we got as close to the turkey as we can. In low light, he's still gobbling. Then I'm going to set up. I want to try to find a place to set up so I can call to that turkey. So I'm going to find a tree or something that is as wide as I am, so I can get up against that tree. I can get set up. And then what I'm going to do is, a lot of people make the mistake is that they get set up and they're going to call to that turkey while he's on the roost. You know, they're going to do a... That's the biggest mistake new hunters make. Don't call. You want to wait for that turkey to fly out. Because remember, he's gobbling to get hens to come to him. If you call to him, he's just going to stay in the tree, most likely, and just continue to gobble. Because he's watching and looking. Those hens should be coming to him. When he sees those hens, he pitches out of the tree down to them, and that courtship takes place.
So if he doesn't hear them, then he's not moving, or he's going to get down eventually.
Oh yeah,
he's going to get him.
He's going to come out.
Get closer.
He's going to come out. He's going to start feeding, strutting, and those hens are eventually going to come to him, or he's going to move off and go to a strut zone, and we'll talk about a strut zone a little bit later.
But if you start conversation with him,
he's going to wait.
He's going to just sit there and,
yep.
Okay, you come to me.
Yep, I've done it. I've done it back in my younger years. You call to him, and that turkey never moves, never moves, never moves, never moves. You call to him, he never moves, he never moves, he never moves. And he's still up on the roost. He's waiting.
So that's a sound that we didn't talk about. What's it sound like when he comes off the roost?
Well, hopefully, here's two things. Hopefully, you can get close enough to where you can hear him pitch out. You're going to hear those wings. You're going to hear that, and boom, he hits the ground. Right.
Okay.
You'll hear those wings flapping. Typically, you'll hear some limbs
ruffling.
Maybe even hear some twigs breaking or whatever, and you'll hear that he'll hit the ground. All right. If you're not close enough to him to hear that, then you wait for him to move. Like he's gobbling on that roost. Well, then next thing you know, he sounds either further away or down off the ridge or closer to you. You can tell if he's moved from his roosting place. Does that make sense?
So he'll once he gets on the ground, will he gobble again?
He'll typically gobble.
Okay.
They typically won't gobble as much.
Okay.
All right. So let's back up. Daylight, or it's dark. We're listening for that gobble. We want to move and get as close to him as possible. We get a place to set up. We get our calls ready. We get our shotgun up on our knee. We're all camoed up, and we're waiting. When that turkey flies out, let's say we can hear him fly out. He flies out, hits the ground. Now I'm going to call to him. And I'm going to, I call this taking his temperature. A lot of people refer to it as that. If he cuts me off and gobbles right back, then I'm going to hit him again. Oh, he cuts me off. If he's gobbling while I'm calling, cutting me off, that means he's hot, his temperature is right, and he's probably going to come to me. I hear him fly out, he cuts me off, I'm going to put my call down and I'm on the gun. And I'm going to wait because he's probably coming. And I'm gonna listen and watch as little movement as I possibly can, and hopefully he comes in and I can get on him and turkey harvested. That is textbook what we call off the roost turkey hunting.
Now with that right there, I want to let you guys know something. This is why we pattern our shotgun and understand how far of a shot we can take.
That's right.
Okay, that way when he's coming in like that, he's 40 yards out, but if your shotgun can't keep a good pattern to where you can do an ethical kill with that, then you're going to have to wait until he gets in closer.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people shoot for the head, Bob,
mm-hmm.
which you're supposed to. I'm just going to grab this turkey fan here. Blow the dust off of him. You know, all of our turkey targets, all of our, you see people all the time, they're shooting for the head. Right here's your point of aim. We call this the wattles. Right where the wattle meets the feathers is where you actually want to put your bead or put your crosshairs or put your red dot, whatever your sight is, you want to aim right here. And the reason is that turkey has just as much neck below the wattles to the body as he does from the top of his head to his wattles. So if you're aiming here, you're going to get shot here and you're going to get shot in that neck, and that's what you're aiming for. You want to break him down. You want to break his neck, penetrate the neck and head, and that turkey's going to lay right there and flop. You run up there, stick your foot on his head, and wait till he's done flopping, and then you carry him out of there, and you got a good story to tell. Yeah. So, you know, a lot of our targets, we're aiming for here, but in reality, you want to aim at the wattles. Okay? So, kind of changing gears there a little bit.
No, but that's a good piece of information.
It's a lot of people don't realize that. Okay? So, that's a classic off the roost scenario.
Okay.
All right.
So just to recap here, so you're trying to get in early, try to get in an hour before sunrise, so you can get set and find out where they're at.
Yep.
You try to stay high.
Yep.
And then you want to move closer to them. Once you start finding out where they're at, you want to try to get close but not too close. So what is close but not too close?
Well, this time of year, the first part of spring gobbler, the trees are still barren. There's not much foliage out. You got to remember, turkeys, all birds have extremely good eyesight. So early season, depending on the terrain, I mean, if I'm in an open hardwoods area with no leaves, you know, the max, depending on the, you know, it might be 200 yards.
Okay. And that's what I want to get at. So if you got a good cover, you can get in closer.
Yep.
But if you're open to the elements, it's not much there, then you want to stay your 200.
If that turkey's on the top of a ridge top, open woods, and he's roosted up there, and you're on that same ridge, you know, if you get too close, he's going to see you.
Okay.
And he's going to shut up, and ball game over.
Yeah, he's going to be into the next county.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to, he's done. So, yeah,
okay.
don't get too close, but get close enough to where he's going to make that trip to you. Because you got to remember, we're reversing nature, and we've talked about this 100 different times. In nature, the hens always go to the gobbler. Here, we're trying to get the gobbler to come to us. So the closer you can get to them, the more they're apt to cover that ground to get to you.
So this is where beginners, and I'm a beginner, okay, you're going to make a lot of mistakes just at that point right there, okay? Because what is too close? What is too far away? You're going to gain that with experience.
Yep.
You're going to chase turkeys away. Just accept that. It's inevitable. Even the most experienced hunters are probably chasing turkeys away during that point.
I'm a very aggressive hunter when it comes to turkeys, and I screw up a lot. But I know that going in, and I'll make aggressive moves because I've turkey hunted for a long time. But I've had more successful hunts than I've had blown hunts. But I go in, just like you said, I go in knowing that
it's going to happen.
Sometimes I screw up because I get too aggressive. But so that's classic. We hear him, it's still dark, we move, we get close to him, we stay on the same plane or above him, we get set up, we hear him fly out. When he hits the ground, we call to him, he comes to us, we shoot him, we harvest him, and we got a great story to tell. All right. That don't happen every time.
Okay.